Slovakia risks succumbing to Russian disinformation, President warns.
Here's a summary of the article.
Bratislava, Slovakia could follow Hungary in becoming an EU problem child, the country's president has warned. Slovak President Zuzana Aputova told Politico she is worried about the spread of disinformation in her country and that an upcoming parliamentary election could erode Slovakia's support for Ukraine. Russian narratives are finding fertile ground in Slovakia. Only 40% of Slovaks say Russia is primarily responsible for the war in Ukraine, according to recent polling by think tank GLOBSEC, compared for example to 85% in Poland, Slovakia's northern neighbor. Slovakia is undergoing a very difficult period, the president said, adding, I see not only polarization, but fragmentation within our society. Merely 58% of Slovaks would vote to stay in NATO if a referendum were held, and 66% agree with the statement that the U.S. is dragging Slovakia into a war with Russia because it is profiting from it. Eduard Heger, who until mid-May served as Slovakia's caretaker prime minister, called Fico the leader of using disinformation in his wording, which Fico's party denies. Our political party fully supports the membership of Slovakia in the EU and NATO, Rothneve. Oliva wrote on behalf of the party.
This post received a score of 3,900, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
I lived in Slovakia for a couple of years, and the pro-Russian sentiment is extremely strong among the older generation. A common phrase that the older people would say is that under communism, everyone had something to eat and a job. It's treated like the glory days for a lot of them.
Because, more or less unfortunately, it has been the best phase of their life. With regards to older generations, it tells a lot about post-communist life of Slovakia if people still hold on to their glory days.
It's not at risk, it's almost certainty at this point. Prepare for another Orban.
What happened? I worked in Nitra, Bratislava and Ružomberok in the 90s and hardly anyone had anything good to say about Russia. What caused the change in feelings?
COVID. People here are really susceptible to disinformation, conspiracy theories and propaganda. Lived here for 10 years and the Slovaks are super cool people, but I think the public and private education systems leave a lot to be desired. I saw quite a few people I know become very open to conspiracy theories during COVID.
The relationship between Russia and Slovakia goes way back. To keep it simple, the Soviets gave Slovakia its first taste of self-importance that it had lacked for decades. It was pretty much neglected during the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and the government in Prague had very little interest in it as well. It was when the Soviets came that the area started seeing a boom in industrialization, education, etc.
The points you've made are excellent, and I can't disagree. There's a lot of the older generation over here who hark back to the days of the Soviets, for exactly what you've said. Strangely, there are also a lot of people not of their generation who hark back to the days of Tiso, and they're on the rise. I'm genuinely worried about the elections this year, and who is going to get into power. It seems like that is or will be a result of COVID.
East Germany too.
East Germany was a shitshow then. Cities basically ruins because of being neglected for decades and definitely not comparable to now. In some cases infrastructure there is now better than in the West.
Curious as to why Serbs and Slovaks consider Russia to be Slovak, but not Ukraine. Also, mass amnesia about the Baltic states, apparently. Short-term memory and a childlike tendency to trust people who promise to solve complex problems with simple slogans is the downfall of us, over and over. Poor education and general generational stupidity.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.